The late afternoon sun casts golden hues across the manicured lawns of Westfield Estates, a suburban neighborhood that prides itself on community standards. Every house looks nearly identical. White fences, perfectly trimmed hedges, driveways spotless as if dirt itself fears the HOA's wrath. I never wanted to live here. But when my daughter, Ava, suffered a spinal cord injury in the accident 2 years ago, I needed a home with accessibility, ramps, wider doorways, space for her wheelchair. This was one of the few places that met those needs. So we moved in trying to carve out a little piece. And for a while, it worked. I pushed Ava's wheelchair down the sidewalk, her fingers drumming against the armrest, eyes glued to the sky as a flock of birds dances overhead. She loves birds. Always has. Says they remind her of what it feels like to run. "You okay, sweetheart?" I ask. She nods, but there's a shadow in her expression. A quiet discomfort she won't voice. "Mom," she says hesitantly. Mr. Dawson was watching me again. I follow her gaze. Across the street, standing on his pristine porch like a king surveying his domain, is Richard Dawson, the HOA president. Mid-50s, polo shirt tucked too neatly into khaki slacks, an ever-present clipboard in his hands. He doesn't bother looking away when I catch him staring. Instead, he narrows his eyes, lips pursed in that tight, disapproving way. "Did he say anything to you?" I ask, keeping my voice even. She hesitates. "No, but yesterday when I was out in the yard, he came by. He told me the neighborhood had rules." I stiffen. "What rules?" "He said I shouldn't be leaving my wheelchair outside. That it affects property values." A flicker of anger sparks in my chest. "Did he now?" She nods, fingers tightening around the armrest. "I don't think he likes us, Mom." She's right. From the moment we moved in, Dawson made it clear we didn't belong. At first, it was little things, letters about our grass being too long, it wasn't. Fines for trash cans being left out too long, they weren't. Then came the bigger issues. Complaints about Ava's therapy equipment in the yard. Warnings about her service dog. A formal notice stating our ramp was an unauthorized modification. I dismissed it as HOA nonsense. Petty power plays. But something about the way Dawson watches Ava, like she's an intruder in his perfect world, makes my stomach twist. Ava shifts uncomfortably. "I don't like him," she murmurs. I place a hand over hers. "Me neither, baby." Dawson is still staring, still clutching that clipboard like a weapon. A chill runs through me, because for the first time, I wonder if this isn't just about HOA rules. Maybe it never was. Maybe it's about something much worse. 2 days later, the letter arrives. It's folded neatly, slipped into an unassuming white envelope, hand-delivered, because Richard Dawson doesn't believe in waiting for the mail. I tear it open at the kitchen counter, my stomach already in knots. Notice of HOA violation. Dear Mrs. Carter, your residence has been found in violation of the Westfield Estates community standards. 1. Unauthorized equipment in the front yard. 2. Obstruction of common areas. 3. Failure to maintain aesthetic uniformity. You are required to remove the infractions immediately to avoid further penalties. Noncompliance may result in enforcement actions. Westfield Estates HOA. I grip the paper so hard it crumples in my hands. I already know what this is about. Ava's wheelchair. The one she left near the porch yesterday when she got tired. The unauthorized equipment is my disabled daughter's only means of mobility. My pulse pounds as I step outside. Across the street, Dawson is there because of course he is. Standing on his porch, phone in hand, watching. I take a breath, forcing calm as I march across the road. Mr. Dawson. He doesn't look surprised. Just raises an eyebrow, his face a mask of condescension. Mrs. Carter. I hold up the letter. Care to explain why my daughter's wheelchair is considered a violation? He sighs, shaking his head like I'm a difficult child. It's not about the wheelchair itself, Mrs. Carter. It's about maintaining the integrity of the neighborhood. Clutter in front of homes lowers property values. Clutter. My voice shakes. My daughter's mobility device is clutter to you? His expression remains impassive. Rules apply to everyone equally. Bullshit. The Johnsons down the street leave their bikes out every day. The Parkers have a basketball hoop in their driveway. No one gets violation notices for that. This is discrimination, I say. Dawson smirks, a cruel gleam in his eyes. Call it what you want. But the board takes violations seriously. I step closer. Is this really about rules? Or is it about the fact that we don't fit into your perfect little community? For the first time, something flickers in his gaze. Not guilt. Not hesitation. Something worse. Satisfaction. I'd be careful, Mrs. Carter, he says smoothly. People who don't follow the rules tend to have problems. A chill runs down my spine. This isn't about aesthetics. It never was. Dawson wants us gone. And I'm starting to think he'll do whatever it takes to make that happen. The next morning, Ava's wheelchair is gone. I storm outside, my heart hammering, scanning the porch, the yard, the sidewalk. Nothing. It was right here last night. She left it by the ramp before heading inside. Panic grips me. Ava. I call, rushing back inside. Where's your chair? She wheels herself into the living room, using her backup chair, the older one we keep inside. I don't know, she says, frowning. I left it outside after therapy. My chest tightens. Someone took it, and I don't have to guess who. I march across the street to Richard Dawson's house and pound on the door. It takes exactly 7 seconds for him to open it, and when he does, he looks entirely unsurprised to see me. Mrs. Carter, he says smoothly, leaning against the doorframe. To what do I owe the pleasure? I hold back the urge to shove past him. Where is my daughter's wheelchair? He feigns confusion. I have no idea what you're talking about. My fingers curl into fists. Cut the act, Dawson. You've been harassing us since we moved in. Now her wheelchair just happens to disappear the day after you call it a violation. He sighs dramatically. Mrs. Carter, if an item was left unattended outside overnight, it's entirely possible it was removed for safety reasons. By who? I snap. The HOA, he says smoothly. We ensure compliance with community standards. Rage burns through me. You stole a disabled child's mobility aid. Stole. He chuckles. Let's not be dramatic. If an item is in violation, it is subject to removal. I take a step closer, lowering my voice. Where is it? He shrugs. Maybe you should check the HOA storage facility. I grit my teeth. Fine. I'll do that. Be my guest, he says, smiling like this is all some twisted game. I spin on my heel and head straight to my car. The HOA storage facility is a glorified shed behind the clubhouse. I've never had reason to go there until now. When I arrive, the place is locked. Of course. But through the slats, I see it. Ava's wheelchair, dumped in a corner like trash. I whip out my phone and start recording. This is what Westfield Estates does to disabled children, I say, voice shaking. They steal medical equipment and call it a violation. I post the video to Facebook. Then I call the police. The officer arrives within the hour, a young black woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense stance. Officer Daniels. I like her already. So let me get this straight, she says, flipping through her notebook. Your daughter's wheelchair was taken from your property by the HOA? Yes, I say. And they locked it in this shed. Dawson appears behind us, arms folded, expression tight. This is private HOA property. You have no right to be here. Daniels arches a brow. Sir, are you admitting that the wheelchair was taken by the HOA? Dawson's jaw clenches. It was an unattended obstruction. It's a medical device, Daniels interrupts sharply. Not trash. Dawson shifts, realizing he's backed himself into a corner. It was being held for retrieval. I scoff. By who? You never told me where it was. Daniels turns to him. Return the wheelchair immediately. Dawson's lips press into a thin line, but he nods at one of his lackeys, another board member lingering nearby. The man begrudgingly unlocks the shed and wheels out Ava's chair. I exhale sharply, taking it from him. This isn't over, I tell Dawson. He smirks. We'll see about that. But what he doesn't know is that Facebook has already seen the video. And people are furious. The video goes viral overnight. By morning, my phone is blowing up, calls, messages, notifications stacking like a tidal wave. The Facebook post has been shared over 50,000 times, and the comments are a storm of outrage. This is disgusting. How do people like this still exist? A whole HOA bullying a disabled child? Lawsuit incoming. Expose them. What's the HOA president's name? Let's make sure he never works again. And then, the best part, local news picks it up. By noon, there's a reporter standing on my porch, mic in hand, camera crew setting up. Ava watches from the doorway, wide-eyed, while I give a statement about how our family has been harassed from the moment we moved in. How does it feel knowing your story has reached millions of people? The reporter asks. I glance at Ava, then back at the camera. Like justice is finally catching up. I know Dawson sees it, because within an hour, he's at my door. The knock is sharp, angry. I open the door to find him standing there, face tight, arms crossed. But he isn't alone. Behind him are 3 HOA board members, middle-aged, smug, all radiating the same entitled arrogance. Mrs. Carter, Dawson says, voice clipped. We need to talk. I fold my arms. About what? The theft? The discrimination? Or the fact that half the country now knows what you did? His eye twitches. You need to take the video down. I blink, then laugh. Oh, that's cute. No. His jaw clenches. You've painted this neighborhood in a bad light. I didn't do that, I counter. You did, when you stole my daughter's wheelchair. One of the board members, a woman with stiff blonde hair, steps forward. Mrs. Carter, if you do not comply, we will have no choice but to take legal action for defamation. I smirk. You mean the truth? Go ahead. Let's see how well that plays out in court. Dawson leans in slightly. You don't want to make enemies here. I hold his gaze, unflinching. I already have. And you should be more worried about the enemies you've made. I step back, lifting my phone. See, while you were busy flexing your little HOA power trip, I was busy recording. I press play. Dawson's own voice spills into the air. Rules apply to everyone equally. Maybe you should check the HOA storage facility. People who don't follow the rules tend to have problems. His face goes white. You threatened me, I say, voice calm. You admitted to taking my daughter's wheelchair. And now, the whole world is listening. One of the board members stiffens. You recorded that? I smile. Of course. And so did Facebook Live. Dawson whirls around. That's when he sees it, my neighbor, streaming the whole confrontation from her porch. Hey, Internet, she calls cheerfully. This is the HOA president who stole a wheelchair. A wave of comments floods the screen. Sue them into oblivion. Bye-bye, HOA job. Dawson's face crumbles. His confidence, his smug superiority, it all vanishes. For the first time, he looks scared. He turns to his board members, but they're already stepping back, shaking their heads. The woman with the stiff blonde hair mutters, We're not going down for this. I take a step closer. You thought you had power, but you forgot one thing, Dawson. His throat bobs as he swallows hard. What's that? I smile. The Internet is watching. Dawson's face is a mask of disbelief. His carefully crafted world, the power, the control, the unquestioned authority, is slipping through his fingers like sand. This is slander, he stammers, glancing around, as if expecting someone to swoop in and rescue him. But no one does. The board members, the same ones who stood beside him minutes ago, are slowly backing away. The woman with the stiff blonde hair mutters under her breath, I didn't sign up for this. Another man, a wiry guy in a pressed polo, shakes his head. Richard, you never told us you actually took the wheelchair. Dawson's head snaps toward them. You're really going to abandon me? After everything we've done to maintain this community. You did this, the woman hisses. Not us. I watch it happen, the precise moment he realizes he's alone. And then, the final nail in his coffin arrives. A sleek black SUV pulls up to the curb, and out steps a man in a dark suit. He moves with the cold precision of someone who doesn't make mistakes. A badge glints at his waist. Dawson freezes. The man approaches, his gaze unreadable. Richard Dawson? Dawson straightens his spine, trying to salvage some of his usual arrogance. Who's asking? The man pulls out a business card and hands it to me first. Christopher Hale, Civil Rights Division, U.S. Department of Justice. My breath catches. He turns back to Dawson. We've been monitoring the situation here since this video went viral. He gestures toward my neighbor, who's still streaming everything on Facebook Live. This footage, along with multiple complaints filed against you and the HOA, have raised serious concerns about discrimination and abuse of power. Dawson's confidence shatters. This is a local HOA issue, he says quickly. We don't need federal involvement. Hale gives him a cool, unamused look. Stealing a disabled child's wheelchair and threatening a homeowner isn't just a local issue, Mr. Dawson. It's a civil rights violation. Dawson's throat bobs as he tries to swallow down his panic. I take a step forward, voice steady. You thought you could intimidate us, harass us, push us out. But the world is watching now, Dawson. You don't get to hide behind HOA rules anymore. The board members step away completely. None of them want to be caught in the wreckage of his downfall. Then, the real bomb drops. Officer Daniels, the same police officer from before, walks up, a tablet in her hand. We pulled security footage from the neighborhood cameras, she says, loud enough for everyone to hear. Would you like to see it? She taps play. And there it is. Crystal clear footage of Dawson and one of his lackeys wheeling Ava's chair down the street in the dead of night. The neighborhood gasps. Dawson blanches. That's not. But it's his face. His stupid, smug face on camera, dragging my daughter's wheelchair like it's a bag of trash. The comments on the live stream are blowing up. He stole it himself? Yo, get this man arrested. This is some movie villain behavior. Hale looks at Officer Daniels. That enough for you? She nods, pulling out handcuffs. More than enough. Dawson snaps. You can't do this, he shouts, stepping back. This is my neighborhood. I built this place. Click. The handcuffs lock around his wrists. Dawson loses it. No. This is ridiculous. You can't arrest me over some ridiculous wheelchair. Daniels stares at him, her expression ice cold. That ridiculous wheelchair belongs to a disabled child. And you stole it. On camera. The crowd murmurs. Some neighbors look disgusted. Others, ones who had always been too afraid to speak up, are cheering. And just like that, Richard Dawson, HOA president, self-proclaimed king of Westfield Estates, is shoved into the back of a police car. His kingdom has fallen. The moment the door slams shut behind Dawson, I feel something deep inside me unclench. Ava wheels up next to me, looking up at the flashing police lights. Is it over? I kneel beside her, tucking her hair behind her ear. Yeah, baby, it's over. She exhales, a slow, relieved breath. Good. And then, with a small smirk, she says, Can we get ice cream now? I laugh. Hard. The first real laugh I've had in weeks. Yeah, I say, wrapping an arm around her. We can get all the ice cream you want. Because justice has been served. And for the first time since we moved here, Westfield Estates finally feels like home. By the next morning, the whole country knows Richard Dawson's name. News stations pick up the story. Social media explodes with calls for legal action, petitions demanding his permanent removal from the HOA, and memes dragging him through the mud. Imagine being so racist you steal a disabled child's wheelchair and think you'll get away with it. Dawson thought he was untouchable. Now he's touching prison bars. HOA president turned convicted felon sounds about right. And then comes the worst blow for him. The state attorney general announces an investigation into the HOA's practices. Not just for what happened to Ava, but for years of discriminatory enforcement against minority homeowners. Turns out, we weren't the first victims. Just the first to fight back loud enough for the world to hear. Dawson is officially removed from his position within 48 hours. His job gone. His reputation destroyed. And when they dig deeper into the HOA's finances, let's just say someone's been embezzling funds. By the end of the week, He's facing multiple felony charges. I'd feel bad if he hadn't earned every second of this. The neighborhood changes overnight. People who once avoided eye contact now stop by to talk. They apologize. They admit they saw things, suspected things, but were too scared to say anything. I thought if I kept my head down, it wouldn't happen to me, an older black man tells me, shaking his head. I was wrong. Even the neighbors who never directly supported Dawson start distancing themselves from him. They don't want his stain on them. The HOA tries to save face. They send a formal apology letter, citing a failure in leadership and promising immediate reforms. They even try to waive our HOA fees for a year. I rip the letter in half and toss it in the trash. A few days later, I'm sitting on the porch when Ava wheels out beside me. She's got her new wheelchair now, one we ordered with the GoFundMe money that exploded after the video went viral. She looks over at me. So, does this mean we're staying? I exhale, looking out over the neighborhood. The same place that once felt suffocating now feels different. Freer. Safer. I think about how hard we fought to live here. How many people saw injustice and finally decided to stand up. And I know the answer before I even say it. Yeah, baby. We're staying. Ava grins. Good. Then she tilts her head. But can I still say, HOA sucks? I laugh. You can say it as much as you want. She pumps her fist. Awesome. And as the sun sets over our home, I realize something. Dawson thought he could control us. He thought he could push us out, silence us, break us. But instead, we broke him.